Welcome to Live Free. I'm Angela K. Austin. Together, we'll discuss books, we'll explore the world, and we'll do it with some of my closest friends. And hopefully, we'll make new ones along the way.
Hey everybody, this is Angela K. Austin, and I'm here with my girl, Reana Mallory. Say hey to everybody, Rihanna.
Hey everyone, hey.
All right, so I know a lot of you guys are familiar with Rihanna, but you guys know that this channel is not only about self-published authors, but it's about authors who are on their grind and their hustle. And if you guys have stepped away from social media over the last month, you may not be aware of all the stuff that Rihanna is up to. So this is going to not only talk about her books, but all her hustle game and everything that she has going on right now. So Rihanna, before we get too far along with all the surprises that you've got in your bag of tricks, tell everybody a little bit about who you are as a writer, just kind of like what you write and why you write it.
Okay, so, well, first off, I am so happy to be here. Thank you, Angela, for inviting me to your show. When I I was so excited when you said, you know what, come on and talk to my viewers. I jumped at the chance. I want to just say thank you for that, first of all. So a little bit about me is, I write the good stuff, right? I write romance with some steam in there, and it's all about, that angst and people really just finding themselves and finding that partner that they feel completes them, right? And so I write interracial romance, women who are happy and successful in their own right, but then they find that person that completes the picture for them. Right. And so I want to bring people into my world. I want to write romances that make you laugh, that, make your heart hurt a little bit, and just really kind of draw the reader in for a little bit while they are reading my story. So, at this point, I think I've written, I want to say around almost 40 stories. Oh my gosh, right? It's been a long time coming, but I tell you, this has been a journey, and I love it. And, I can't wait to just keep on doing it. But I love writing. It's really my passion project. So.
How long have you been writing, Rihanna? How many years?
10 years. Actually, no, let me back up. It is 11 years, because my very first story, To Love a Marine, was published in May of 2009. So I am at 11 years now.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. I think 2008, 2009. I must have started before that, maybe. Yeah, so we've been out there about the same amount of time, because I think I've been out there 12, 13 years now, and seen I've seen three different publishers. I've been doing, a lot of things just kind of in this world of going from small publishers to kind of like a hybrid of small publishers and self-publishing, to where now I'm kind of I would have to say I'm pretty much always just self-publishing right now. I haven't submitted anything to a publisher in a very long time, but I know we're going to talk about some of your books later, but I just want to make this note in case I forget. We have got to talk about Irish Sugar, because that was some one-click magic craziness for me. I mean, and it's like, and even though I know all you guys, and I was just like, okay, I read the first one, I was like, click, 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 and I was just so out there trying to find the next book when I found the first book. And that was because we were at an event together, and being at that event together really made it to where I was like, okay, now I got this first book, or did I get 2 or 3 of them at that event? I can't remember, but then I read those bad boys just, and then I had to hit Kindle, I think, to get the last one, or maybe the last 2. I can't remember, but that was like pure addiction. It was great. So we have to talk about that one.
Okay. All right.
But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about some of your other projects that you're working on, because a lot of people may not be aware, like your coaching. And this is something that I thought was really cool when I found out that you were doing it, because I don't know what it is about a lot of the people that I have in my life right now, but maybe the universe is telling me something, because I have a lot of people in my life who are now getting into this world. And I find it so interesting. One of my friends, I've known for like over 30 years, and you and I have talked about her, she's recently gone into the same thing. And so it's so curious to me whenever I find someone who has this kind of touch to be like, oh, this is something that I want to do. So tell us a little bit about your coaching and kind of what made you want to kind of jump into that arena, and just, share that with us a little bit.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting, and me as Rihanna, and me as Lee Mariano, which is my government name, as people say. Some people keep their author life and their regular life separate, but for me, I actually had to intertwine the two because I have a clearance. So I have a security clearance, and as such, you need to disclose that you live life as another person. So I have worked in human resources for almost 25 years. And as a part of that role, there's a lot of counseling, coaching, leadership coaching, life coaching, executive coaching, all of these things, because HR is often seen as the counselor. We're the person that people come to when they're having a dilemma, when they want to change careers, when they are dealing with things maybe at home that are impacting their work life, and they come to HR and they look to us to help them work through those issues. We have, private confidential sessions with people, and we help them work through what they're going through. And so I've been doing that for, almost 25 years now. And I'm at a point in my career, where working in a corporate environment is all well and good. I got to the level that I wanted to get to, that I expected to get to. I got that C-suite title, corner office and faux mahogany furniture. But my impact is limited to those within my corporate structure. And so in 2019, I was talking to my husband, and we were thinking, okay, now what do I do? Right? I have my books, and that's one thing, and I love being an author, and that is something I'll never give up. But I'm getting to a point where it's, okay, I've attained all this, now what? And so part of what I started, and I've actually been thinking about this for years. Let me go back and say that. I've actually been thinking about launching out into coaching for over 5 years now. And I kept putting it off and like, no, I just need to focus on my books, and I need to focus on getting to that level in corporate America that's gonna, solve all my problems and make everything better. So for 5 years, I've been putting this idea off. And it was actually at a retreat that we were at, where we started talking about 2020 vision. And so I took that from just focused on the books to what is my 2020 vision for myself. And I knew that 2020 was a year for me to launch my coaching business. And I want to take what I can do, or what I've done in the corporate world and human resources and career coaching, and I want to broaden that out so that I can help other people on an individual basis. So the coaching is all about, it's life coaching, it's success coaching, it's focused on your career and personal development, self-confidence, communication, right? Finding your voice. And while I say it's all about finding your voice and communication, some people may think they already do that. They may think they already have that, but they get into situations where they are unable to stand up for themselves, or they don't know how to respond to a situation they're in that's challenging without emotion getting involved. My coaching will focus on emotional intelligence and all of these aspects that make us who we are, but maybe we don't know how to control it, or we are faltering in how we present ourselves to the world and to the public. And so, so right now I'm doing, one-on-one coaching. I'm actually launching a group coaching program all about self-confidence and finding your voice and how you present to the world. So it's exciting. I can talk about that all day, but my coaching, I'm so excited about this coaching.
I'm happy for you because, when it comes to self-publishing, so many of us do it, but very few of us live solely off the income from our self-publishing, right? Most of us have something else going on. And so, like yourself, I come from that corporate world, like you. Why is that all of our dream, that faux mahogany furniture? Who put that in our head?
You get that furniture, you've made it.
I literally remember like when I first was came out of college, I didn't have like the business card. So I remember when I got my first set of business cards, I would go out to places and they'd be like, oh, who are you? Who do you work for? And it was all about the brand, right? So if you gave somebody a business card and people didn't recognize the brand, it's like, what shady little small mom and pop you working for? It was just like, oh my God, that freaking fracking corner office with that fake mahogany furniture and a business card. It's like when you said that, I was like, yep, check, checkity, check. Right? Because when you're in that world, that's validation, right? And it's one of the things, like, so before I kind of like jumped both feet into the, out of the boat into the ocean with self-publishing, I've worked across many industries, radio and TV, all of that fit with my undergraduate degree. And I did some, association and government work. And then I moved on to, of course, I would say, I guess, the private industry, working for various kinds of organizations to, like, most recently I worked in healthcare. And one day I was, and I say this because healthcare, for me has always been a part of my life just because of so many people in my family. So I really, for a long time, I had it kind of like on my spirit to work in healthcare and trying to figure out where I could fit, because I was never a clinician. And I knew that I never wanted to be a clinician. Wasn't my angle. It's like, how do I take my radio and my TV and my marketing background and get into healthcare? But when we talk about that whole thing about validation, when I got that job, I was like, oh, this is great. This is kind of like my dream kind of situation. I'm working for this historic organization. You say the name, people are like, "Bet you work there," blah, 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 blah. And then, I started thinking about kind of like all the trappings of life that we kind of connect to that validation of who we are. And, and you see yourself, you're buying more of this, doing more of that, whatever, more of this, whatever. And this is no shade on anybody who, whatever makes you happy, But I started to realize some things for myself. It's just that, I was starting to be unhappy in the role that I was doing and all of the things connecting me to it. And I was like, well, this was kind of like what I thought would be my ideal thing. And then you get it, and then you're like, oh man, it's not really what, and after like 7 years of it, I was like, okay, this is busting my bubble a little bit, because this is not quite what I thought it was going to be. And like you, I was like, okay, now what next? Where am I going to go next? What am I going to do next? And for me, that decision became to, now I'm going back to school to get another master's and moving on and doing some other things. But that is something that, when I talk to a lot of friends of mine, I found that so many of us at various times in our lives have found ourselves, in need of kind of making those decisions. Me, I'm not married. I don't have children. So for me, making those decisions is like, okay, what about my bills?
Right.
You know, and it's like, yo, Angela likes to eat out. What about us? Hey, what about, you know, you start to think about like, how am I going to care for myself when I can't care for myself? And then for my friends who are married or with children, they have to consider their husbands and their children. So these life decisions that completely change the way you see your life or the way you've done your life for years.
Yep.
Those are huge. You know, it's literally, and so, you know, it's been one of those things where I'm like, coaching became something I was like, oh, maybe I should find myself a life coach, you know, and then I found my friends became coaches. I was like, wait, let me use my friendship card. But, you know, but it's like, but in my lifetime, I've been laid off from corporate America 3 times. Mm-hmm. And like I tell so many people, so many of us, because we have those dreams of the faux mahogany furniture, yep, the corner office, the business card with the VP of such and such on it, you know. And so when we get those things, we start to identify ourselves as those things.
Right.
And when I was talking with one of my friends about that, I was like, so much of who I was connected to the titles and the dollars and the things behind it. Like, what can I, you know, it was connected to so many of those things. So like you, over the years, I started to kind of dig deeper into myself and to pare back stuff. I was like, what can I do without? What do I really need? What do I really want? You know, started doing a lot of other things and just kind of searching to figure out what, you know, direction I wanted to go in. So, I mean, so I commend you. So like, you know, we can definitely give people some information later about how to connect and find out some more. But can you give us a little bit more detail? So, like, for instance, if you were, you know, like with career coaching or with your group coaching, for instance, mm-hmm, like what does it look like for an individual? Maybe because maybe, you know, like I'll speak for myself. Like me, if I were to reach out to you and say, you know, hey, you know, I would like to learn more about, it's called Alexidom, right? What is it?
Yeah, Alexidom. Yeah. It sure is.
If I were to reach out, tell me what that process would start out as, you know, be like, I'm an individual and I'm looking to make this career change. Like, you know, what would I do? How would I know, first of all, that I need to contact you? You know?
Well, that's actually a good question, right? So one thing I do want to caveat and say is I do think more people of color should become more comfortable with the idea of speaking with someone. I'm not saying it has to be me as a life coach or a therapist or whatever, but I want people to become more comfortable with the idea that they cannot and should not have to do it all themselves. Sometimes you need that foundational support, that partner, accountability partner, to help you think outside of what your narrow focus is, right? And so part of this, and I'm so glad we're talking about it, because I want to normalize that we as women of color, as people of color, that it's okay to pick up the phone or to reach out to someone and say, hey, you know what, I'm going through this really difficult decision point and I'm just not sure what to do. Can you help me work through the process, right? So you know, I'm getting my visibility and I'm making sure people are aware of who I am and what I do. But I have multiple ways. Like I actually, you know, if people want to contact me and say, hey, Lee, hey, Rihanna, I want to talk with you about, you know, this decision I'm going through, I set up an initial call with them, just you know, whether a Zoom call like we're doing right here, and I actually go through a series of questions first to see where that person's at, what is their thought process, how are they feeling about whether it's life, career, relationship, their own internal, you know, confidence, self-esteem, to really try and focus on, okay, what is the primary issue that the person is trying to work through? Now, let's say it's career and they really just feel that their career is not going the way that they want. and I feel, yes, this is something I can help that person with, I can help you with, then I do invite them to work with me, right? Now that first call is completely free, because I want them to understand and really get down to the meat of the issue of what's really triggering maybe their unhappiness or their uncertainty, or just, maybe they're not sure where they stand in the world. I want them to be able to articulate that to me, right? Because if you can't understand what your major issue is, then how can I then work you through to the other side, right? So I have to get them with me to identify what their issue is. And from that initial call, if they decide to work with me one-on-one, we actually set up, a coaching agreement, and we work together where it's every other week calls, where it's my focus is all on them. Now, I'm not a therapist. I don't diagnose, I don't do anything like that. But what I do is I hold the person that I'm working with accountable for making the change. But I help them open their eyes to what the possibilities are. Because my goal is, if they succeed, they make the change they want, then that means I've done my job. So that's the one-on-one. I mean, we do, I have them do an MBTI assessment. I have them, work through kind of some real pain points. I mean, I asked the question you had mentioned earlier, how we identify, with our jobs, right, as we progress up the ladder. And so one of the first questions I ask people is, who are you? Tell me who you are.
Ooh, that's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
Yeah, I bet you they're gonna say, I'm the VP of.
Exactly.
Hey, I know this question because that's what I.
Yes. Is that who you are? What you do for a living?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So coaching, it actually works, for each person on an individual basis. It's different, but the one-on-one is really, really trying to get down deep and assessing with a person what's going on, what are you really struggling with, and how can we get you where you want to be. And then on the group coaching, that, that's kind of we're working on specific predetermined issues each week, where we get grouped together and we talk through some of those issues. But it's a different construct, but I'm still pushing people to really look deep and decide what they want for their future, and how they want to present to the world. So it's actually coaching can be life-changing.
And that's something that, like I said, over the past few years that I have become very aware of. I even did a session a few months back with a therapist, and actually it's on my YouTube channel, where I actually talked about the fact of the caveat that you said, that so many people of color, they do believe that they can do it all by themselves, and I just want to speak specifically to myself and to my other Black women out there who are watching. We really believe we can do it, by ourselves, because everything around us tells us that we're strong Black women, that we're this Black women, and so anytime there is any sort of a little crack in the armor, you may just not want to admit to it. You may not want to reach out and say, oh, and so, like myself, I had gotten this opportunity that I thought was going to be amazing. And then a few years in, I was like, ooh, this ain't it. But I still stayed, because it took me years to really accept that, okay, that's not it. We need to go in another direction. But, you're gun shy, especially when you've been laid off. I don't know how many people out there watching have ever been laid off. But when you have been laid off, you are gun shy, because you're just, okay, like, when is the next this and when is the next that? So you're kind of like afraid to let go of things. So I love that you said that. And what I found, when it comes to the whole like life coaching, is that I almost feel like it's a, I don't want to say friend, because it is a professional relationship. You're paying someone to help you, but for a lot of people who are maybe a little afraid to say they want to go and get like a therapist or something else, I feel like a life coach is like a great way for people to have somebody who is not a friend. And the reason I say that, not a friend, is because usually your friends, they're going to worry about you, right, you know, in a way like, oh girl, you know, that job pays you more money than any job you ever had, you know, or they're going to be, you know, just not thinking about whatever it is that might be best for you and for whatever your next step is. They might try to keep you where you are, not allow you to do whatever it is. So I love, the whole concept of life coaches and career coaches, you know, so I'm so excited for you. I'm so, congratulations.
Oh, it's so funny. Actually, you bring that up. The other night, I just had a live masterclass where I talked about this. And one of the points I made is that, you know, sometimes family and friends, we want to believe that they're going to be the ones, you know, there and helping us push forward and helping us, you know, do what we need to do. But on the opposite side, your family and friends are the one that are sometimes the ones telling you, no, don't take that leap of faith. Don't take that risk. We care about you. We're worried about you. Just stay where you are, right? And while they love us and they care about us, maybe they're not the ones actually, they are presenting their fear for us upon us. Does that make sense? And so family and friends, they love us, but you are absolutely right. They are not going to be the ones to say, you know what, I hear you, Angela. Yep, that job is not the best one for you. What are you going to do to change it?
Yeah, and it's because of their, in my opinion, it's because of their love for you. Yes. For us, that they state those things. And the thing about it is, because of your love for them, it can cause you doubts and it can enhance that fear. So I love. And after I attended that session, I can't remember what, it's on my YouTube channel, but it's like self-therapy, and I'll tag it in this video. But I really do advocate all the time for people that I know to reach out and find life coaches and career coaches, or if it needs to be a therapist, because sometimes you just need that, you know, like unbiased ear, you know, who is really just trying to listen to what you want and coach you so that you can go and, you know, take those steps to obtain it, to achieve it. I love life coaches. So we're going to come back and, because I want to make sure, like, you had your masterclass the other day, but I want to make sure that we share stuff with people so that they can reach out and find out more about Alexidom and know what to do and how to get with that. But now let's switch back over to Rihanna. Like right now, I feel like we need to put your tiara on your head.
I know, I was thinking I was going to wear it. I was like, well, maybe not. I don't know, but I think it's in the other room.
Because now we in Rihanna mode. It's like, but you know, for everybody out there watching, just in case there's somebody out there who is new to Reana Malori, let me just tell you, one of the things that I've always loved about Rihanna, and I think everybody has, is that whenever we see you at an event, you know, and this ties into everything else that you do, she always has her tiara. She's always got it on her head.
Yeah, really. I need to pull it out.
And I was like, the first time I saw her with that, I was like, the first time I saw you with that, I was like, that is dope. And I wish that I would have had that idea, because I do, you know, like, honestly, I want women, I want women to see themselves as such, because for me, I think it impacts like everything about yourself. It impacts how you allow people to treat you, how you treat other people, seeing yourself as somebody who is just worthy, you know? So I love seeing you with that. I'm like, then she's always walking around with this little smile. Every time you got your smile and your girl, that was a that idea was masterful.
People say, well, why do you wear a tiara? What's with the tiara? And I'm like, because every woman deserves to
Yep.
wear a crown.
Exactly. Yep. I love it.
Women, all of us.
Yeah. And I love it. And and it's like, and we're gonna talk about Irish Sugar because that's one of my faves. So we'll get to the other books that other people like in a minute.
But that's your show, so we're talking about Connell.
This is about Angela K. But I love it, and so when I don't write square in the romance field, in the romance section too often, but I always have a thread of romance. But one of the things that I love when I'm reading something that is like really romance is when I feel like the woman is very protected and very whatever. And it's like, and when I was reading just Irish Sugar in general, I mean, these are some really alpha males for all the women out there, square alpha males, but they are some very damaged guys, they're damaged, but the way that they come into their love and the way that they treat their women, I mean, I'm telling you, I cannot remember. I want to say I got 2 or 3 at the event, and then I was just like, this is nonsense. Let me one-click this stuff, because I just was not able. And it was everything that you guys did. They were written so tightly and just so crisply that, you're reading, because I think like each book was only like 100 pages. So it was like, as soon as you got into it, for me, as soon as I got into it, I was like, well, what is the rest of this book? Rihanna, where is the rest of this book? So it was just like, I swear, it was crazy. I read all 4 of those books so quickly that it was absolute nonsense. So that was a job so well done, Madame. So tell everybody a little bit about my favorites over here, Irish Sugar, and who all was a part of that. And then tell us a little bit more about your other books.
Okay, so Irish Sugar, there were 4 of us involved. It was myself, it was Shara Azad, who's another OG interracial romance author, Kasana, another OG interracial, right? And Martika Carlin, who writes both IR and mainstream contemporary paranormal romance. And so we came together and we had this idea to just write the story about these 4 men who grew up damaged and just broken, and they had to basically create their way in the world, and they had a parental unit, a father who was just a horrible man, and so it actually showed the progression of these 4 men from scenes from when they were young boys that were pretty just hurt my heart when I had to write, some of the scenes for Connell, and it showed the progression of how these 4 neglected, abused boys became really the power within the Boston, Massachusetts, and surrounding area. And Connell, he's my wolf in sheep's clothing. So he's the one who, he owns a business. He's a businessman. He wears the suit every day. But don't sleep on Connell, because he'll be the one with a Glock to your head when you don't expect it, right? You don't see him coming. You don't see Connell coming. But each of them has their own journey, right? Each one has their own journey. But we kind of set the foundation of where they started and what was going on in their life, and then we had the ending of where they ended up. What was the conclusion for that? And then everything in the middle was their individual story. And so we were able to weave in these pieces of their life and some of the harsh times that they went through to show how they found their perfect romantic partner. And so for me and mine, Tatiana, she's Cape Verde, which some people didn't realize that, Cape Verdean is African-American. She's a woman of color. But so that was a bit confusing because people just didn't know. But in that area, in Massachusetts, Boston area, that's a huge cultural subset of people in that area. But she's very protective of her brother, and Connell is the one who's going to get her anger and her frustration, and she doesn't care who he is, and she's going to make sure he knows she's not happy with him. And that's exactly what Connell needed. She's exactly the type of woman he needed. And their story, I love. Connell is just, oh, I wrote the story and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, guys, if you have not read this, it's 100 pages, and they're standalones, but it does not matter because you're going to want to read all 4 of them. It just, so, just get all 4. Do yourself a favor. Just do yourself a favor. Because I was sitting there and it's just, and you really do. I mean, honestly, like you said, you're reading it and you're like, what kind of, and what did you guys call him, Doc? Some kind of father is this dude?
And then you look at the 4 brothers and you're like, okay.
Yep. Yeah, it was so well done. I enjoyed that so much. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that all my books have been donated, I'd probably be rereading it right now. It was just so good. It was so good. Now, tell us about some of your other stuff. Like what, I always, like I said, I have been asking everybody this, and I know it's not fair, but like, what do you think everybody's favorite Reana Malori book is? And then what's Reana Mallory's favorite book? Because this is so hard. It's so hard, especially when you have like as much work out there as you do. But what do you say?
So I think, okay, so I think the fan favorite, if I had to pick one, I'd say Finding Faith. Yep.
I could say that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Finding Faith. Oh, in the opening scene of Finding Faith, of the opening, if you haven't read this book, I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but Finding Faith, it's not a Christian book. Let me just tell you that right now. It is not, right? Her name is Faith. And so there's a play on that a little bit, but the opening scene of Finding Faith is Faith's friend, who she thought was her best friend, basically telling her she's too fat and too overweight for a good-looking man to actually be interested in her. And how dare Faith assume that some man who looked like whoever he looked like would actually be interested in her, because of the way she looked. And that opening scene, actually, some people actually wrote to me and was like, I cannot believe this woman was her friend for all these years. How did Faith not know? And I'm like, okay, y'all, she literally I just opened the book. Right? Just read the book. Just read the book.
See? And that's about valuing yourself, having the right friends in your life. She needed coaching.
You gotta say, get those people out of your life.
Get them out of your life.
Right?
So, and that's so powerful that you say that, because I was invited to a book club maybe about a week or so ago. And just like the people were impacted by your opening statement, there was a piece in that book that literally during the book club meeting, a young woman like went to her Kindle and she was like, oh, I highlighted this. And I was like, yes, I love it. Because that is just something, that I feel is so powerful, that because as writers, we really do try to pay attention to every word and every sentence, every phraseology. It's there for a reason. And so when people can read those words and be impacted by them, you're like, yes, thank you so much. I love it. I love it.
Bring it. Yeah.
Bring it. I'm here for all of that. Yeah. Now, what's Reana Mallory's favorite?
Oh, okay. Homecoming. although it's tied. Okay, no, I'm gonna pick one. So Homecoming it's part of a series. It's part of the Heaven on Earth series, and it's the 4th book. And this is Noah's story, and Noah is the big brother of the men in the story, right? They're not blood related, but they're all military men, former military, and he's really kind of the big brother father figure. So Homecoming was a recent release within the last year, and Noah had been keeping a secret throughout the other 3 books. Noah had it's on the book. Noah had a child that Noah didn't really know about until later. And then he was keeping it a secret from the family, And this book was all about Noah's, his feeling of not being good enough for the heroine in the book. Because of his job, he didn't want to leave her a widow. He didn't want to have something happen to him when he was in combat that would then leave her heartbroken. So he made the choice to walk away, not realizing that she was pregnant. And so it's all about, so Homecoming is about his journey going back to her and his daughter. And her family, she lived in, North Carolina, Jacksonville, North Carolina. And her family did not necessarily welcome the fact that he was Caucasian. She was judged by others because she was a single parent who got pregnant by him, and he left, right? So she's walking around with a big old belly and a baby with no father around. And so it pulled in some of that old school thinking that sometimes women of color, Black women, have to go through when the church elders and the church gets involved in your life a little bit too much. And it was all about her kind of finding her strength to be like, you know what, I don't care what anyone else says. And it was also about him accepting that you can't walk away from your future and what's meant to be. And so Homecoming, and I hate to say that because I love, oh my goodness, I love
that one sounds so sweet. So I have not read that one. So now I've got to go one click that stuff. See, we messing up. But I love that. So what's the tie book though, before we move on? What's the tie book?
Honor. My paranormal. Oh my goodness. I released it last Christmas. And Odin's Honor is a paranormal, and he's a wolf shifter, and oh my gosh, I think that's both a fan favorite and my favorite too.
Okay.
Oh, Odin, Oda doggy.
Well, I do love some shifter.
You know what I say, Oda doggy, what that means.
Oh, see, I have not, and I love shifters. I love paranormal. Well, I don't know. It's probably the only genre I really don't get into is probably absolute horror, where it's just kind of more gore. Yep. But I'm pretty much into all genres, and I like it because then I don't feel like I get bored with stories.
Yep.
Either writing them or reading them, because I can just hop all over the place, read all kinds of things. As an Odin's Honor, I gotta get, but I want to check out Homecoming just because it sounds so super sweet. I love it. So tell us what's next. What's next for Alexidom? Mm-hmm. What's next for Rihanna?
So, for Alexidom, it's really all about making sure that I am putting information out and educating people on what life coaching can really do for them. So, I'm focused on taking on some one-on-one clients to make sure that I can give some of that individual support to people. And then I'm also launching my group coaching program. It's called the Confidence Accelerator. It's an 8-week program that's all about working in a group to focus on who are you, who do you care about, what do you care about, how do you want to live your life, taking that big leap of faith, right? Do something big for yourself, and really examining what you want for your own future. So it's an 8-week highly, highly focused coaching program that I'm launching right now. And I want to make sure that I want to get as many women of color maybe as I can to really understand what that's about, because I think, as we were talking about earlier, that isn't something that we've really been aware of that is an option to us. And I really want us to understand that having a coach and having a mentor, having an accountability partner, that's a good thing. This, my job isn't to judge. My job is to help you succeed and get where you want to be. So let me help you do that, right? So that's really what's next for Alexidom, is really kind of, expanding and bringing awareness and educating people, and working with either individuals or groups on just changing, your perspective on life and how things may happen in the future. And I know right now is a tough time for people, but now is time to focus on that personal development as well, and really focus on yourself, so where you want to go in the future. So that's for Alexidom. Now, I'm so excited about that. For Rihanna, I do have a couple books on tap. I have a book 2 from Odin's Honor. It's called Alpha's Rise. So that one's going to be this year. I also have book 5 in Heaven on Earth that I'm working on. It's one of the other brothers that they're going to have their story. And then I also have a book that I'm rewriting. It was part of an anthology, the Loving Day anthology from a couple years ago. And so I'm rewriting that book because it was very short. So I want to really expand it. And that one actually ties into some racial issues too, with their little small town. So that one's going to be interesting. I don't necessarily focus on those in many of my books, but this was a story that I felt needed to be told at the time. So I just need to expand it. So, there's definitely some books coming out this year from Rihanna, at least 4 books for the remainder.
That is a lot. That is, you are, see, this is what I'm saying.
That hustle game.
No. The hustle is so real, and I love that you're bringing your Loving Day. I'm trying to work on mine, but I'm not looking at trying to have mine out there until top of next year. But it was kind of hard because kind of hard to figure out what story I wanted to put in that when we did that, because it is about the lovings. And so for me, it almost made me unable to write a story that didn't have some sort of a strife, kind of, Mine is more religious, than it is, racial, but it just felt like in honor of all that they went through, I felt like I had to throw that little something in there to show like the importance of fighting for something, but but that's so awesome. You have so much going on, ladies. So much. Now, how do people find out about all these things? What are the best places to find you on social media so that people can get the latest information?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Facebook and Instagram are good for both Alexidom and Rihanna. So they can find me on Facebook, Alexidom Coaching. And it's actually connected to my Rihanna page. So I do try and share information to the Rihanna page about Alexidom, because again, just crossing over and making sure people know that that's an option for them. But they can find me on Facebook under Alexidom Coaching, and it's ALEXIDOM. And then they can find me on Instagram, Alexidom Coach, as well, that they can follow me there and get all sorts of good information. And as Reana Malori, they can find me on Facebook, Reana Malori, right? Just find me there, connect with me, friend me. Let's make some things happen. I'll recommend a good book for you. And we're going to do great things.
I recommend Irish Sugar. Let's make Irish Sugar just pop back on the radar.
Yes.
Yes.
He's still my favorite bad boy. I tell you, he really is.
He was so good. Is that $99 cents right now? I don't know. How much is that book? I got to repurchase it. But I don't know why. I fell into that world so hard. You guys got me on that.
it's the mix of the bad boy. You know, they're not good people. Let me just warn you. But you love them because you know, but then you realize how they grew up, and you know what, growing up that way, it makes you into a totally different person. But then when they find their partner, their love, their woman, it's like their protective instincts come out, and you know.
Yep.
Oh, don't.
It's gonna be hard. And it was so, I mean, I fell so, and I don't fall into too many things too hard. I'm that person who literally, it took me forever to start writing series because I hate series. I like all the books to be done and done. So I can, I'm the perfect person for Netflix, right? When the show goes off the air, you tell me, I'm gonna go to Netflix, I'm gonna binge it over a month, and I'm gonna be happy. I don't want to wait for the next one to come out. Just drop everything at one time. So I'm a person who I literally am. It took me forever. To be honest. So by the time I discovered Irish Sugar, because I don't know if you guys dropped them all at one time or if it came out, but they were all there. So I was like, yes. And honestly, I don't even know why you guys haven't written more. That's my bid. I need. Because otherwise, I'm just have to buy the friggin' books and read them again. I feel like we need to have a discussion offline. I'm gonna call Cass. I'm gonna make Cass get on this with the rest of y'all. She'll make y'all do it. That'd be fine. We'll solve my problem in very short. My friend, this has been such a blast. I want to thank you. Thank you for, I always tell everybody I'm so appreciative of people taking a few minutes out of their day to come and join me, because honestly, for me, I've read all of you guys. I know so many of you personally. We've been all in this game for so many years. And, it's just so awesome for me to be able to show people who are watching this channel or listening to this podcast, just who my people are, who are out here in this self-pub game, who are trying to make it work. Because I feel like every day, every other day, I have somebody ask me about publishing and how to publish, and, or I find people who are still with small press publishers who are like, oh, they're not doing this or they're not doing that. And I'm like, well, just publish it yourself, darling. You can do it. And so the more I introduce them to people like you, everybody who is smashing the game, making it work, I think it makes it seem more realistic for people who are, not quite there yet. So thank you so much for joining me and showing the world just how awesome you are out there doing these things. So it's been so awesome to chat with you today.
Yes, no, I appreciate you again. Thank you for having me here. This has been awesome. I appreciate you for having me on your show, and I'm so glad you're doing this. I think you are killing the game by this YouTube show. This is awesome. When I heard you were doing this, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Okay. Like, we know. Just, our hustle game is strong, right? We we want to make sure that we leave our mark on this world, and you're doing it not only with your books, Angela, but with this YouTube channel and everything that you're doing. You're going out, you're getting your second master's degree. You know what? I'm going to interview you for yours. And we need to flip the script a little bit, because
look, flip it. It's just, honestly, it's just been so crazy because in this time of COVID, so many people are trying to figure out, how to keep life moving, and so highlighting my friends who are killing the game when it comes to self-publishing, but who are also, they have that other thing going on. I just think it's great to show people that even in this time when there's so much ugly, there's so much opportunity, So I'm so happy that you're out there helping, people, helping women who, are seeking out some sort of change. So congratulations. And to everybody out there in YouTube and podcast land, thank you so much for joining us. This is my girl, Rihanna Mallory. Check her out on IG, Facebook, Twitter, but also check out Alexidom. And if you've never thought about a coach, think about it. Give it a shot. You never know, because I know, like I said, I have so many people in my life who are jumping into this. And it's just something that I believe can be so powerful in people's lives. So give it a shot, give her a call, check us out. I'm Angela K. Austin. I will see you all again soon.